I don't know if you guys saw the most recent discourse, by the way, but like Alana Pierce has been getting like basically bullied by losers on the internet, where she talked about Elden Ring and her experience playing Elden Ring.
There are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example.
You know what another situational disability? Having a cat that wants to sit on your keyboard while you're trying to win, or on your controller,
is a hindrance for your particular disability a situation is concerned.
Anyways, Alana Pierce had a video basically sort of petitioning FromSoft. Is there more? From Software. Okay. She's been petitioning them, sort of like saying that there should be like a pause button, and there are pause buttons. There are like workaround pause buttons, to be very clear. I know some people have talked about like if you close the game, you can reopen it and it'll put you right back where you were. And let me see if I can find Alana Pierce's full video on it, because I'd love to watch it. She made a video.
The day has finally come. The people have finally
titled Elden Ring DLC is too hard. And then in parentheses, no, it's not.
Spoken. So listen up, Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to make in this video. I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think accessibility is really important, and how common of a conversation accessibility is where FromSoft games are concerned, and why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring, even though it is already currently their most accessible game. There's a lot of room for improvement. But we're also going to talk about...
Wait, is she woke? I mean, she's a woman, obviously. She must be.
I don't even know where to start. There are a bunch of negative reviews on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do, I never thought that they would admit it. Now, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there. They are consistent. And that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear, which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC, and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid, and thankfully have been patched. So, though, has the difficulty. There are like two sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that like you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games. No. While there are things that FromSoft games do incredibly well, like I am obsessed with their boss designs and their animation. Like, for all the things we love about it, their bosses are so impressive in terms of art direction and animation. They don't even need to be. Like, oh my god, they're just so good at that. The sense of discovery is unparalleled. The uniqueness of the worlds is near unparalleled. Like, there are a lot of things that FromSoft games do really well. But saying part of the appeal is beating the... It's not part of the appeal. It's the entire design of the game. It's the whole game. It is the core ethos, the core game design of any FromSoft game, is that you are supposed to approach a boss, be willing to die the first several times as you assess their moveset, you figure out the puzzle that is beating this boss, you've retained information about their movesets, about what kills you, about how you can avoid it, and you roll into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing the game well. The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games. The whole point is for them to be extremely challenging. I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean...
From my understanding, I could be mistaken. I haven't played it yet, obviously, but my understanding is that people's complaint about Erdtree being hard is more that the bosses are definitely harder, but getting to the bosses and like the random mobs are like unnecessarily difficult. That's what I heard. That's what I was told. I haven't played it yet, so I'm not sure. And I think that that criticism is like half valid. I can see that. If you take pleasure in like killing bosses and not random fucking mobs on the road, yeah, sure, maybe I could see that. But to be honest, I uh, uh, uh.
And just pay attention to the things the game
I'm
gives you
about to
that
start
can
the DLC. Did you beat the game, Trail?
make it way easier. That's not to say you're not allowed to complain, okay? We are also really weird. I'm already tangenting inside my tangent. We are
Oh
really weird
shit.
about acting like From some games can't be criticized. They are immune to criticism. Like, you are allowed to complain about finding it too hard or feeling like a certain boss isn't balanced or feeling like a hitbox is like, you can complain about those things and be valid. And stop acting like any
I think
criticism of
honestly,
From
actually, one of the most valid criticisms, maybe some of you will disagree, but I do think one of the most valid criticisms is when now again, I haven't played Elden Ring yet, but when floor AoEs, the marker isn't actually accurate and it's either bigger or smaller than it looks. That is something that actually really makes me so frustrated when it's like I choose to stand still because I'm like I'll move and then I stand still because I'm like, oh, I'm not in the attack anymore, but the attack is bigger than the visual indicator lets on and you get hit. It's like, can we just adjust this visual indicator to look accurate? I think that that, for example, is a valid criticism. I'm not saying the game needs to be easier. I'm not saying it should do less damage, or yeah, I'm not saying it should do less damage. I'm not saying like any of those things. I'm saying like I just want what I'm seeing to be accurate with what's actually happening, right? That I think that that's a valid, for example, criticism. Now I don't know if this happens in Elden Ring, but this is something that like because I haven't played it, like I said earlier, I have not played Elden Ring yet. But I've experienced this with other games. When I played V Rising, some of the AoEs are deceiving. You're like, oh, okay, I've dodged everything, I'm safe, and then you get hit, and you're like, what? Wait, what? How did I get hit by that? I was not in that AoE. I specifically chose to stand where I did because I thought that that was fine. So I don't know if that happens in Elden Ring because I haven't played Elden Ring yet. But if it does, I would say that that is a criticism that's valid because you're not saying you're not saying that a certain attack pattern should happen less often. You're not saying that that damage should happen less often. You're just saying that the visuals should be intuitive. And I think that that is, for example, a valid criticism. So I agree with her that there are criticisms you're allowed to make, and people shouldn't immediately be like, "Oh, skill issue, skill issue, skill issue, skill issue." It's like, oh my God, you're like a broken record. Oh, no wonder you're on the internet. You have no friends, dude. Jesus.
Off game makes you a fake gamer. First tangent completed. I apologize. Back to the video. Course correcting. Patch dropped for the DLC, meaning that this to me would indicate that FromSoft, gonna lean over a little, kind of agrees with the criticisms, which is pretty nuts. Miyazaki did say that he wanted Shadow of the Erdtree to be the hardest thing they ever made, and it seems like that worked very well. People are finding it extremely difficult, even people who have been a long-time FromSoft fan. That was the intention. I mean, it would have been crazy to let you just like finish Elden Ring and then just continue as though you were still playing Elden Ring. Like, they did have to up the difficulty for the DLC to even justify its own existence, in my opinion. But basically,
And also, I will say, as a gamer, okay, my biggest issue is games make their shit too easy most of the time. Like the hardest difficulty in a game is usually too easy. So I appreciate games like Elden Ring making a DLC and making the game hard, right? Because I can appreciate a good story game. I can appreciate a good cozy game. I can appreciate all those. I play a lot of different types of games. But the worst thing is when the hardest difficulty in a game is just not that much harder than the other ones. That's the thing that sucks. That is the one thing that's like a little bit annoying. So honestly, if the game is too hard, good. That's that's the point. Is the gaming community really made it out of a bunch of children for one from software games hard as fuck. Skill issues not. Last controversy was about boobs in another game. Like it's fucking game touch grass. Yeah.
and damage negation curve scaling of the Shadow Realm.
Denims, are you gonna do a mage build? See, I like to do mage builds always. That's my favorite type of build to go always. But I'm pretty sure people in the Elden Ring community are like, oh, mage build, you didn't even actually play the game. So I'm going to play it however I need to play it so that people can shut the fuck up and not be annoying. Because the worst crime you can commit in my presence is be annoying. So I will do whatever I have to do to not have to deal with people being annoying.
Blessings have been revised. The attack and damage negation has been increased for the first half of the maximum amount of blessing enhancements, and the second half
Or just play how you want. You think I'm normal? Your first mistake here. Your first mistake.
Gradual, the attack and damage negation granted by the final level of blessing enhancements has been slightly increased. So again, I take this to mean that they like kind of agree, and they were like, oh, we maybe did make this too hard. Okay, how bad? Which is super interesting. But there are things about this that, oh my god, I have so many opinions. This video is gonna turn out so messy. First, Shadow of the Erdtree tells you what you need to do to get good. And I think really it just requires patience. You may be familiar with scatter tree fragments. I'll keep this quick in case you literally are familiar, but basically, this is effectively a means of an accessibility feature that exists inside of Shadow of the Erdtree because it is optional, and I love that they've done this. So, Scatter Tree Fragment is a new upgrade
right, skibbity fragments. No.
material in Elden Ring, debuting in the Shadow of Erdtree DLC. Scatter Tree Fragments are optional consumables that can be used to enhance simultaneously offensive and defensive capabilities at any sites of grace, acting like a permanent boost to your DLC damage dealt and damage negation. Basically, you go find these things, they will make you stronger in the game. If you are having trouble with a certain boss, you literally just have to go find these things. They are made solely for the DLC. They only work in the DLC. They do not work in the base game. They are there specifically for players who are having trouble with any bosses that are already there, which is totally fine, by the way. You're allowed to have trouble with Elden Ring. You're allowed to find it hard. But they have been put in the game to give you that option. I love that they make this stuff optional. That it's like, yes, you have to go through effort to be able to do this. And in theory, you need to look up a walkthrough, find the locations of them. But I love that it's like a thing that is available to all players who are having trouble. Leave the boss. Coolest thing about Elden Ring in general, for again, where accessibility is concerned, when new players to FromSoft games are concerned, is that you can just leave at any time. Go find these. The DLC will become easier for you. That is, they put it in there for you, and I just feel like maybe a lot of people have missed it, which I guess is like part of also the design of Elden Ring, right? Is like, FromSoft games don't over-explain anything to you. But yeah, I'm finding this stuff very funny. These games are hard. We should be allowed to criticize things we don't like about them. They're not immune to criticism. I do feel like Shadow of the Erdtree literally has told you the thing that you can do to make it easier. But at the same time, them patching it would imply to me that they're also like, maybe a bit much, which is funny. I'm not telling you to get good. I'm telling you to use all of the features available to you to cater your experience, which is the coolest thing about accessibility in general. I have never understood why players would ever argue against more customization options. So this is the second half of this video, where I'm going to talk specifically about accessibility and even just a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility in Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. And people are asking for accessibility are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket, a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints. But when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow. So trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one, long-term, people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games. Unironically, that is a thing, from tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to like highlight this particular thing. Is like, I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm going to be in pain and have to like ice my wrist afterwards and not really be able to play it. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think.
It's a quick pause. There's a really quick pause. Dude, the custom difficulty in Baldur's Gate 3 is literally the best thing in the game ever. Give me the guard combat, but I want RP, conversations, prices, being able to be adjusted is amazing. Yeah, that's how I feel about that's how I felt about V-Rising. So when I played it in normal mode with friends, we just played normal mode everything. But the second time I wanted to play it in brutal because I wanted to try the bosses at the hardest difficulties. Because apparently the bosses in brutal have rotations and like second and third forms that don't exist in the other difficulties. The problem is farming materials in that game is so fucking slow. The cool part about like adjusting and having sliding scale difficulties, you can play the game in the way that makes it the most fun for you. So I can turn the difficulty of the bosses all the way up. But then like farming materials, I can turn it all the way down. Because I already did the farming part. I already know how hard it is to get all the mats and how many hours it takes to do all the mats, right? That stuff is so sick. That stuff is so amazing. Don't you like fishing? I need my 100% rogue to live forever. Fuck no, dude. Fuck no.
Disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really fucking hard.
People think what Alana said is bad is insane and so stupid. It's literally just femoid speaking about video game. Must be woke.
Is also appealing to people with disabilities. They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard for them to beat. They're not asking you to give them an easy mode and make it easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities, so they can still enjoy really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, yeah, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled.
And a lot of people don't understand what accessibility means. Like, I think the problem is that a lot of gamers are fucking stupid. And like, they don't have any friends in the real world, so they don't understand what the fuck people are talking about when they talk about accessibility. Sorry, I did you dirty, Alana. Let me pause on a better pause screen. But with things like accessibility, like you would never say, no, I don't think that there should be a color blindness option. What? Yeah, if you're colorblind and you want to play Elden Ring, you should have a mode that is made for you so you can play the game. To fight against that would be absolutely moronic. Anyone who would say, no, you either have to play Elden Ring the way it is or you don't get to play it. If you want a colorblind mode, too bad. Get better eyes, stupid. Which is just more, it's just stupid. It didn't make the game easier. It just made it accessible for those people. That's it. That's different than asking devs to make bosses easier, though. Okay, show me who's asking the devs to make the bosses easier.
Fuck off. Second, people just assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not an easy, it's not even less difficulty, it's more options. But third is the unique challenge with FromSoft games of...
Asmund didn't say to make he didn't say to make the game easier. He said the game is too hard and he's not going to play it.
Completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversial, I know, but yes, if you use summons, you've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want. But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point
I mean,
of
dare I say it? Dare I say it? Dare I say it? Who cares? Like, let people play the game the way they want to play the game. The devs put it in. Let them play the game the way they want to play it, you weirdos. This is like actually unironically gatekeeping. This is like literally accurate gatekeeping. Grow up. Not everything is for you. Relevant clip, Denims.
I used to follow a guy. I used to follow this guy on Twitch who used to play Dark Souls games. He used to play Dark Souls games with his feet. And he would put the camera on his feet and play Dark Souls games on an arcade stick. No joke. He used to play that shit and beat the games and shit, right? And then I later found out that this guy has no hands.
Thank you.
What a poser. I unfollowed him. What? That's ridiculous. That's not even that sick, dude. Because if you got no hands, your feet are your hands. Anyone with no hands could do that. I thought this guy was a regular guy with hands that learned how to play Dark Souls with his feet. Now that's impressive. No hands. This guy could probably eat breakfast with his feet, brush his teeth with his feet. The guy's a poser. Come on, man.
I love Aaron so much. So someone explain this to the chatters who don't understand.
pride for people. And how do you avoid taking away that point of pride? That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans just love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games.
Yeah, there is no feeling as good as beating a boss that you've been trying to beat for ages. I know I reference this meme a lot, and I'm worried that most of you don't, so I'm gonna finally show it to you guys. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Ones of you know, twos of you don't. When I say, "Who do you think you are? I am." Oh my god. You guys have just been looking at me like I'm crazy and I don't know how to speak like I'm fucking Biden. Oh, okay. This is what I'm referencing.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it!
Yes!
That's number 5! Are you kidding me? That's right! Who do you think you are? I am! Get it right!
Who do you think you are? I am! This is what it feels like to beat a boss that you've been trying to beat for fucking hours and you can't fucking beat him, dude. This is exactly what it feels like. Yeah. Anyways.
Effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have.
So-called Badfish, thanks so much for the Prime for 14 months.
Catered to their own accessibility needs. Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like it's, like I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with someone, you didn't finish the game, that you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally there. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the scattered tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have because we're all fucking different people, right? Here's my pitch, okay, gamers? Hear me out. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game. Are people going to reply to each other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are going to be like, "Oh, you summons, you died, and beat you summons and beat the game. Yeah, people are going to be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of the extra accessibility specific gatekeeping.
I mean, I petitioned something similar to, I think, what Baldur's Gate 3 did, which was really good, which is having a like, you can have your easy, normal, hard, whatever, but then you have an honor mode. And the honor mode is like the truest, hardest version of the game. And so when you talk to people and you want to easily communicate what version of the game you played, you say, "Oh, did you play honor mode?" Yeah, I beat it in honor mode. Because that's currently how Baldur's Gate players talk to each other. When they talk to each other about honor mode, it's like, yeah. Oh, you played it like this. Yeah, you played it like this. Oh, did you play it in honor mode? Yeah, I beat it in honor mode. And I think that that's all you need to do, really. I think just have an honor mode that is the hardest version of the game. No summons, no whatever. And then you can have all the other versions of the game. Because in my opinion, the only point in having something like an honor mode is to easily communicate to your other gamers what version of the game you played. I'm not going to talk about the losers who are like, "Oh, well, you didn't actually beat the game because you played it in a way that I didn't agree with." I'm not talking about those people. I don't care about those people. I think that they're losers and they need to go outside and make some fucking friends. I'm talking about when I'm talking to a friend of mine and actual Baldur's Gate players ask each other which character they fucked. Yeah, but then after that, like, I'm talking about the normal gamers who enjoy a challenge and want to talk to other people who experienced the same version of the game that they experienced, right? And that's how I feel about it, right? Like, when I talk to people and I want to tell them that I played this version of the game, what's an easy way for me to tell them that I played this version of the game? You called it an honor mode or call it a challenge mode or whatever. Do you fuck them in honor mode? Of course I did. What's different in honor mode? Well, in Baldur's Gate 3, honor mode is just like, if your party wipes, the game is over. And you have to start over from scratch, and it's at the hardest difficulty. It's like harder than Tactician. It's like Tactician plus new mechanics. They get like new legendary actions.
Like all of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one's asking for less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's a large list of things that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know? But what if you get a screen at the end with the credits that shows exactly how you played it or what options.
Oh yeah, and you
had
can't
on
save
or off.
scum.
In my head, this would alleviate a lot of that discourse. People are saying like no accessibility whatsoever because I want to be able to play Elden Ring the exact way that I want to be able to play it. And I feel like those people are shooting themselves in the foot.
I will never play a game in hard mode.
Because what if they get one of those temporary, situational, or short-term disabilities? You break your wrist, you're not going to be able to play Elden Ring. You have a kid, suddenly you can't play Elden Ring. Like, I feel like they say it when they don't have disabilities, but in 10 years, when you do have some kind of disability, I feel like you're going to retroactively kind of regret that you were like, absolutely not. Don't change anything. I finished Tunic. That game rules and is very hard. And after I finished it, I beat the final boss that you don't even have to, well, spoilers. She was so hard. She was so hard. It took me days. Tunic has an accessibility option in it that you can use to, it's basically God mode. I think you can prevent all damage. I beat the game without that and felt so accomplished and so proud of myself. And I don't care that mode is there or that option is there to help other people who still want to experience the game without that. I think that's perfectly fine. But I would have liked just a little something at the end, even an achievement, to give me the credit for doing the hardest fights on what is effectively the hardest in-game possible difficulty because I didn't have those accessibility options on. You know what I mean? That's my thought, basically. Elden Ring is already the most accessible FromSoft game. If you're complaining about Shadow of the Erdtree being too hard, you don't have to play it. You are definitely allowed to criticize them. And I also think you should explore more because you will find another build or another means to make things easier. Like, I think you're being impatient is probably what's happening realistically. This is for people who obviously don't have accessibility problems. But what if, so that we could actually allow
I'm so
disabled
sorry. Was this chatter joking? I doubt she'd beat any game. She's too busy posing for OnlyFans. Was this S? Were you joking or were you serious? I genuinely can't tell. I can't tell at all.
players play these games, which is a thing I care about. The end of the game, you just get a screen with all your stats. How many times you died, what options you did or did not have on.
What
So
games do you recommend for Baldur's Gate 3 nerds? Personally, I would recommend Dragon Age Origins. I've heard people say good things about Divinity, but I've never played Divinity.
people can still brag and still show off because, again, that is clearly a thing people like doing with these games. I just feel like it would solve a lot of this conversation. It's really not about asking Miyazaki, FromSoft, to make the game easier where accessibility is concerned. It's about allowing more people to play it.
I started playing Dragon Age Origins actually because of your recommendation. It's so good. There are mods that make Dragon Age Origins not look so dog shit, by the way. There are definitely a lot of mods that make the game look a little bit better. They give it a little bit of a new polish. Same way that most people don't play Minecraft vanilla. Most people play Minecraft with some shaders on. There are some really nice shaders and like texture packs for Dragon Age Origins. Highly recommend, because the visuals do not hold up in Dragon Age Origins.
Sometimes people just need different settings to be able to do that, more customization to be able to do that. Does it make sense? I feel like it makes sense. Basically, yeah, I'm just so surprised that we're in a timeline where literally enough people are complaining about it. Like, all of the games journalists gave it a 10 out of 10, but the Steam reviews, the gamers are the ones saying it's just too damn hard. For any of those people who do not have accessibility specific issues, you just gotta explore more, dude. You can do it. You can do it. I think you're being impatient. I think you can do it. And to the accessibility conversation that comes up every single time FromSoft has a new game, I would love to see them have more accessibility options. I would not like to see them make the games easier or less challenging. And it's a difficult balance to strike, obviously, but I feel like I found kind of a solution. Let me know what you think.
TLDR, can we put a pause button in? Can we put a pause button in, and for people who have disabilities, whether they're temporary or permanent, could we have accessibility functions for them and maybe put like an end card at the game that tells you what settings you used or something? Just an idea. I'm not sure what loopholes are in there, but just an idea. That's what she said. That's it. That's all she said. Elden Ring needs to be easier because I have kids. Do you think she's the type of chick to park in a handicap zone because she thinks having kids is a disability? 40 million views and 17,000 likes is crazy. That's crazy. 40 million people saw this and were like, damn, he's dumb, huh? Damn, someone help him out. Oh my God, dude. Oh my fucking God. And I agree with this person. Having no pause button in a single player game is just straight up bad design. There's no reason to not have. And before anyone says, well, technically what you could do is you can close the game and then when you reopen it, you'll be right where you were. Games should just have a pause button. It's a single player game. You shouldn't have to do some stupid workaround to get the game to pause. Just put a pause button in the game. It's not hard. It's not hard to have a pause button in the game. What if you got a shit, dude? You just shit yourself? That's the price of doing business? Like, it's ridiculous. There should be a pause button. Actually, Denims, it's not single player. Okay. Functionally, it is a single player game. Okay. Just because you can have friends hop in and help you out with bosses or play fights with you, it's functionally, it's a single player game. Have you seen the video where like an 8-year-old with a disability fights Rodden? I mean, the thing is, that's like neither here nor there. I think this is like a common thing that people talk about, right? Where is there no offline mode? There is an offline mode. What was I gonna say? 1 second. The people writing, I did it. Try finger butthole aren't bots, the real players. Yeah. In my opinion, the people that are talking about, hey, here are people with disabilities beating the game. Here are people that, you know, are younger that beat the game. Here are people that are older that beat the game. It's kind of not relevant. No one is saying that it's impossible to beat the game if you're disabled. It's a point that, in my opinion, I'm not saying you did this intentionally, but it's a point that kind of misses the point. What if people don't have time? What if someone works 2 jobs if they want to play Elden Ring and they don't want to spend 6 billion hours playing Elden Ring? But they're not disabled, nothing wrong with them. They can beat hard games, no problem. They just don't have a lot of free time. You just don't get to enjoy the game anymore. You don't get to like it because you don't have the time to play it. It's silly. It's silly. It's very exclusionary. And for what purpose? For what cause? It's like, I think some people in the gaming community forgot that video games, the reason video games exist is to be fun. That's it. That's the reason video games exist. It's so that you can play them and have fun. And for you, if you are anything like me, chat, fun means I can't fucking beat this boss and I am this close to breaking my keyboard. Yes, if you are that way, we are similar, chat, okay? I too enjoy punishment for no reason. I too enjoy the dying to the same mechanic 600 times because I can't fucking dodge it. And then eventually beating it. That is the pleasure for me. There's a big deal of pleasure in that. But that's not everyone's form of pleasure. Some people don't want to die 100 times to the same boss. Some people don't get the same satisfaction, the same release that the rest of us might get trying to beat a very difficult boss. And so those people, no, you don't get to play the game. You don't get to. No, you don't get to play the game. But then why play the game? I mean, Elden Ring has more going for it than just bosses being hard. It has an amazing soundtrack. It's a gorgeous game to look at. It's a very cool universe. It's a cool plot. There's a lot of reasons to want to play. Like, there's a lot of reasons to want to play the game. Just watch YouTube at that point? What do you mean? Not gonna lie, Elden Ring probably sucks ass without that. But what, so any game that doesn't have hard bosses sucks? That's silly. That's silly. You're basically saying 95% of video games suck. It's so ridiculous. But Denims, what if I hate video games? Oh, real? Tetris is so garbage. It has 0 hard bosses. I'm saying this, guys. I'm saying this as one tryhard to another, chat. Okay? It's cringe. It's cringe to be a try-hard gatekeeper. You're being cringe. Everyone thinks you're being cringe. You need to stop being cringe, okay? Your metaphorical neckbeard is getting out of control. Stop. Stop. It's not gatekeeping if that's how the game was made. One, you know that games can change and have patches and updates, right? Two, the problem is we're talking about the players who say that if you use summons, you didn't actually beat the game. That the game was made that way by the devs that way, and the players are saying you didn't actually beat the game. Like, we're talking about the toxic community members that are trying to tell people that they know the game better than the people who made the game. Try hard gatekeeper girl bossing Elden Ring. No self-awareness in the cringiness either. Yeah, exactly. I can't hit shots in Apex Legends because I can't tap strafe long enough. Can I get accessibility to do it easier? First of all, why are you not jitter aiming? That's your first problem, okay? Go jitter aim, stupid. Number two, it's called a controller. Aim assist, duh. It already exists, stupid. I think yes, but I think you might be missing here. What you might be missing here is that I want to feel like a special boy. Oh, my bad. Sorry, you're right. Oh, my bad. Sorry. You're right. You're right. We got to make sure that the special boys, that everyone gets to know that they beat the game on the hardest difficulty. Oh, you get 5 gold stickers. You didn't use any summons. Oh, you're so good at video games. You might not be good at anything else, but you're so good at this video game. Oh. Mommy says you're extra special. Like, that's what you are. That's what you're being. You just want to be special, and it's cringe. It's really cringe. And I'm sorry no one in your life has told you that it's really cringe. I'm sorry. Play the game on the hardest difficulty. Enjoy the game on the hardest difficulty. But if someone doesn't want to play the game on the hardest difficulty, you're just going to be mean to them? What stupid, idiotic nonsense. Jesus. It's so ridiculous. It's just, I don't know. You need therapy, man. Okay, I don't know how else to put it. You need therapy. That's what you need. That's what you need. All right. And I'm only saying this to you guys, okay, because I'm reformed. Okay, as a former gatekeeper girl bosser. All right. I looked in a mirror and I realized I was posting cringe. I'm just trying to save you from yourself, dude. I'm trying to save you. That's what I'm trying to show you, man. If you don't want to listen to good advice, that's on you, man. That's on you. All right? That's on you. It's just, I like woke up one day and I like heard myself speaking. I heard myself say like, just play another game. And I was like, I had like an out of body moment and I was like, oh my God, I sound like that. How entitled am I? Holy entitlement. Well, this game is made just for me and just for players like me and nobody else gets to have fun. No one else gets to play the game that I like to play. Like, oh, I'm so cringe. Oh my God. I can't believe I said that out loud. Holy entitlement. Oh my God, I'm such a baby. And then I stopped being cringe. And then I decided I was done being cringe and I wasn't going to do that anymore. Shout out to Twitter video being stuck loading. Excellent. Keep doing Twitter. Keep doing Twitter. A lot of the Helldivers 2 community. I haven't played the game. Oh my God. But anywho. I just don't agree with crying about a game that's specifically designed with no pause button. The developers spent years to make this art, and you want them to remake the game to your needs. They have to remake the game to add a pause button? What kind of code they got over at FromSoft? What the? They got to remake the whole game to add a pause button? Shit. Damn. Goes to show what I know about game making. I didn't think it was that hard. I didn't know they had to remake the whole game from scratch. Damn. Okay, good to know. Oh my God. Shut it down, everybody. Shut it down. Shut it down. Do you pause during PvP then? MMOs need pause buttons. Just watch a movie. Tetris is too hard. Toxic community. Chess too hard. Can we get some more pizzas? League should add a pause button. Why are you so mad, man? Why are you so mad? I don't understand. I don't... I don't get how other people playing the game they want, the way that they want to is impacting you. It's so bizarre to me. It feels like going into like Costco and being like, yeah, can I get one of your hot dogs? And the guy behind you being like, you know, they're really famous for their pizza. You should get their pizza instead. Oh, but you know, they got hot dogs. But I want the hot dog. Yeah, well, they know you should get the pizza. Trust me, I know Costco better than Costco knows Costco. And it's like, what the? what is wrong with you? Why is this person impacting your life so much? Like, what's it to you? Yeah, this sounds like a skit from I Think You Should Leave, right? Yeah. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. I would take another man's life in cold blood for a chicken bake from Costco. Okay, this guy's spitting. Okay, this guy's spitting. That guy, that you get it, dude. You get it.
DNM Hey.
You get it. I need a pause button IRL, dude. Fucking same, dude. Same. This random idiot at the grocery store sold me on some Chipotle mayo that I just had to try. It was fucking terrible. Perfect analogy. Actually, the perfect analogy. Casually, Nate, thank you for the 3 months. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, man. Okay, anyways. People aren't against the pause button. It's about asking devs to do work which goes against the way they designed the game. Quick question, chat. Genuine question. Do any of the other FromSoft games have a pause button? Do any of the Dark Souls game have a pause button? I just genuinely don't know. Only Sekiro does? Sekiro is a FromSoft game? Or is it from some other? Yeah, from software. Okay. So, like, it seems like the devs over at FromSoft think that there is an option to have a pause game, a pause button. Sekiro has no co-op either? Okay, well, what about, like, offline mode pause button? And if you play the game in offline mode, you can have a pause button. It seems like they had no qualms putting it in Sekiro. What's the problem with them putting it in? Seems like the devs aren't against. It seems like the devs aren't against it. What's the problem with asking them to put a pause button in offline mode? It seems like it's not really about the devs. It's kind of about what you want and your image of what the devs want and your need to defend and protect the developers. It's just ridiculous. It's silly. I promise you, we can go down a million different lines of dialogue. I promise you. I promise you. As someone who used to be you, you are wrong. You are just wrong. I don't know how else to explain it to you, man. I don't. The developers don't give a fuck. They probably didn't put a pause button in because they didn't feel like doing that extra work. They didn't feel like hiring someone to code that. That was probably why they don't have it. That's it. Tell these chatters the game's creator uses summons also. Nice. Nice. Oh, God. Okay, sorry. Last thing that I will indulge, and then we're going to move on, okay? Asking to include a pause into a game with PvP is wrong and makes zero sense. So it's not about the devs then. We're past that. We're not, we've abandoned that ship. We've abandoned the devs ship. We're now on this ship. That it makes zero sense and it's wrong. Okay. Goalpost moved. Enemy felled. Goalpost moved. You know we can have pause modes just for offline mode, right? You don't have to put a pause mode in PvP. You know that, right? You know that? They interviewed Miyazaki about the persistent co-op mode for Elden Ring, and he was like, oh, wow, honestly, we hadn't even considered that as an option. It's neat. We're glad people have that mod as an option. We might just do that from now on, TBH. Like, the devs clearly aren't married to their designs as gamer superiority prover thing. No, I mean, game developers are, like, crazy, I know, but they're like people. They just want to make games that are fun to play. Games that very clearly have a lot of love into them. They want to make games that people enjoy playing. That's it. And for me, I like a hard game, but I like co-op a lot more. I like sharing the experience with someone. I think that the way that V Rising handled it was really nice. They made the difficulty of the bosses significantly harder if you played with two people than one person. So there were some bosses in V Rising where like I did them solo and they were so fucking easy. And I did them duo and they were suddenly way fucking harder. Not just like more HP and more damage. It was like there were new mechanics. Like things suddenly would spawn that did damage that didn't exist in solo mode. And like that is fun for me because like you're upping the difficulty to make it harder as an experience for everyone playing. Because I don't want to lower the difficulty just because I'm playing co-op mode. I don't play co-op mode to make the game easier. I play co-op mode to make the game more fun. So I get to share the difficult experience with someone else. So the fact that they introduced certain things that made the bosses harder than in solo mode, that playing duo was actually more difficult than playing solo, that was so cool. That was really, really cool, and I fucking loved that. And I wish more games would do that. I wish more games would sort of, more than just making the bosses do more damage and have double the HP, that they would introduce new mechanics for duos. That would be really, really cool. In Hades 2, you can't pause during the boss fight against Kronos. After you pause, the boss taunts you as being god of time. That's cool! That is fucking cool. Make me realize you can pause in Elden Ring when you play solo with photo mod, if I'm not mistaken. Really? I don't know anything about it, but yeah, I mean, like, Miyazaki very clearly is open to ideas. He's very clearly not like, no, we have to do the game this way, and this is the only way we have to do it. God forbid Twitch user Stink Tomo thinks that our game is bad and wrong and makes zero sense. That's not how they make their games, I promise you. They make their games in a way to hopefully be as fun as it can, be for as many people as it can be. That's why they do that. I promise you. That's why their games are good. So no pausing during Hades boss is based, but Elden Ring is not. Well, he didn't say that the pausing was disabled, or did he say it was disabled? He said it taunts you, but also that's a lore thing. It makes sense that there wouldn't be a pause. Kronos is a god of time. He literally controls time. It's one boss. It kind of is like within lore is kind of cool. You go to like pause time and it's a gimmick. And it's like, oh my, wait, I'm playing against the god of time. No, I don't get to pause during this boss. That's cool. That's actually cool. Because now you've introduced it into the... So if there was a time boss in Elden Ring, yeah, I'm down for no pausing. To be fair though, can I say... IMO, this might be a little crazy. I don't know how to feel about pausing during boss fights. I mean, realistically speaking, if you pause during a boss fight and you come back, there's honestly no way you're going to beat it anyways. During bosses, it should be off. You should just be able to pause on the way over to certain things. I mean, again, like I said, realistically, if you pause during bosses and you go to do something and you come back, you're just going to die immediately. That's been my experience in games like that. Pausing during bosses wouldn't even help either. Yeah, exactly, yeah. I have to shit. You just die and then go shit and then come back and go again. But anyways. Single boss takes 2 to 3 minutes anyway, so I wouldn't care about it that much, yeah. Yeah, but if you shit, your brain fog is cleared afterwards, so you can sure as fuck beat it afterward. Maybe, I don't know. I've never successfully beat a boss mid-pause. It's never happened. Check again on the logs. He's dragging those everywhere. He's dragging the goalposts everywhere. Okay, it's lore in Elden Ring then, Keck W? What? Are there characters in Elden Ring that control time? Are there bosses in Elden Ring that are like time gods? If so, then yeah, those bosses shouldn't have any sort of pausing ability, but like I mean, that would be like there would be just like the 1 or 2 boss, right? And that's it. Anyways, moving on.